This particular podcast segment on the OMG Biz podcast for small business owners, entrepreneurs, is brought to you by your Medicare lady.
It's time for another segment of Mr. and Mrs. Medicare, saving seniors from
Hopefully you
high
could hear
costs of
that.
healthcare, debunking Medicare, making Medicare easy to understand for all seniors. All guests of any of the Medicare segments receive the free ebook written by your MedicareLady.com. Here are your hosts, Paul and Sarah Finkelstein.
Thanks, Tony, for mentioning the free ebook from your Medicare lady. You could pick up that free ebook right there on the scrolling screen right there, linktr.ee/Paul Finkelstein. It's right on there. Just scroll just a little bit, a couple of buttons down, linktree/Paul Finkelstein. Remember that Linktree does not have a .com, it's a .ee. So linktree/Paul Finkelstein to get the free Medicare book. I should probably come on the screen. Why don't I do that? But before I do that, I do want to dedicate this podcast to my mom and her legacy in helping people be financially free because she lived a great life. She lost her battle to ovarian cancer back in 2019, 7 years ago. July 31st was the day that she passed away from ovarian cancer, and she fought a good fight, and she was comfortable. She was in hospice. She wasn't in any pain at the end, and but she worked up until her last day. She was on the phone, and she definitely was not afraid of no phone for sure. On that note, let me come on the screen if I can figure out how to do it. Hi, everybody. This is Paul Finkelstein with the OMG podcast, and I just wanted to go over a couple of my notes. Thanks, Mom, for being here. Really appreciate it. I feel like you're with me right now. I have a picture that hangs up in my office right behind me with this exact photo in a beautiful frame in an article that was in the Journal News in Rockland County, New York, and New City. So if you're ever familiar with Rockland County, New York, and the Journal News. I don't know if it's still called the Journal News, but I imagine it must. And this picture was taken on the bottom of our driveway. The news reporter took a picture of my mom. She was an accountant, a CPA, an MBA, and a state tax examiner for New York State. And she had an incredible tax practice and also a CFP, a certified financial planner. So thank you so much, Mom, for getting me into a very interesting career as well. But today, I wanted to talk about the notes that I learned over the past couple of weeks. A couple of weeks ago, I took a couple of friends to an event that was in Coral Springs. And I just had a couple of questions for you if you attended the event, or just want to know, when you attend events, this question is for you. Are you a note taker in meetings? Do you like to take notes? I would highly suggest that you ask me for one of these pads. Has got lines on it, and maybe you have your own. You have a small little pad. You have your favorite doodle pad that you do. Take your doodle pad with you in a pen, because you want to take, especially a meeting like this behind me as well, that's going to happen on 2027 in July for the 50th anniversary of the company that I work with right now and business partner with. But are you a note taker? Because I'll tell you why it's so important. Do you have a photographic memory? That kind of answers the question and also begs the question as well. Do you have a photographic memory? And my last question for you is, do you think that you can be one great idea away from a big raise? What do you think? Do you think one big idea is probably all it takes from getting a big raise? And I don't care if you're retired and you're collecting a Social Security check and your raise might be making a little bit more than your Social Security check. Or perhaps maybe you're still working, or perhaps maybe you're in your own business or you're self-employed. So are you a note taker in meetings? Whether the meeting is a one-on-one or one right behind me, it certainly doesn't matter. And here's another message, too, that you see on the screen there. Here's a prize or award. Just for coming here today, you could win a 90-minute giveaway. The 90-minute giveaway is a podcast complimentary. You'll see the details on the scrolling bar just below, or get in touch with me by commenting on this video wherever you're seeing it right now. Or go to linktr.ee/Paul Finkelstein, and Linktree is not a .com, it's a .ee. You can see it right there, Linktree/Paul Finkelstein. And you can pause the video. You can tap on your phone, you can tap on your tablet, or click on the video if you're watching it on YouTube, etc., on a desktop, and freeze the frame, and then write down Linktree/Paul Finkelstein, and you'll get more information about the 90-minute giveaway. And this is the home of the 90-minute giveaway. But I wanted to go over some of my notes from a very cool mentor that had some very good business insights and tips. So let's see if I could share some of those with you today. The first thing is, do you believe that you're entitled to that one idea that can give you a raise? Do you believe that? At this particular, one of the speakers said that they had a system, and they were following a system that their parents set them up in business. And how many people here know that a good business is one that has a system? Here's another nugget I put here. He said that his mom was his biggest client. Like myself, my mom was my biggest fan. Sometimes she didn't always tell me, but I do have a card behind me on a bulletin board that my mom didn't date. Maybe she knew something was going to happen. And now when it comes time for her birthday, I have this card in my mom's handwriting that is a very good encourager. So who in your life is an encourager? Who here, here's something I put in my notes. Are you wired to work for a boss for the rest of your life? Well, the particular speaker I listened to said, and I wasn't the speaker on this, these were incredible mentors and speakers. They said that they were not wired to work for a boss. Is that you? Maybe you're probably thinking that right now. Are you crazy enough to work for a boss? Are you crazy enough not to? You're going through all kinds of tug of war in your head between the little angel that sits on this side, little devil that sits on this side and says, yeah, go work for a boss. And then this side says, you don't need a boss. Go ahead, you can do it. I'm your angel. Okay, there are no good jobs. It's like an oxymoron, jumbo shrimp. Make sense? That's what the speaker said. He said there are no good jobs. Job, I heard the acronym, stands for just over broke. How many people feel that? Because I've heard that statistic and over again that most Americans are living, and maybe most people around the entire world on our planet are living paycheck to paycheck, because whatever we take in goes right out the other side. Whatever we take in goes right out the other side. So here's another nugget of information that I got from one of the speakers, and that's why I take notes, so I can remember this stuff, because I know there's people out there that didn't take notes and might appreciate that went to this particular meeting as well at the same time as me, and they didn't take notes. They don't remember anything that happened because it's about 2 or 3 weeks ago already, and the next one's going to be on October 10. So here's a nugget: never prejudge. And because if you do, you're most likely wrong. I mean, how do you know if someone's going to be blank, very successful in blank? So prejudging is a habit that many people get in there from. I don't know where they get it from, or I probably do, but it's not really the topic of my conversation today. You don't understand a business unless you work in the business. You don't understand a business unless you work in the business. So I think the key word there is work. If you're just observing, then you probably don't fully understand it. Here's a comment. I thought it was kind of comical and funny. Look at all those monkeys on their way to work. And he said that, I think, and I know, all those monkeys on the way to work, do they realize, are they in the river of denial? The denial river. They denying that they're actually living paycheck to paycheck, and they keep repeating the same thing all over again, which is the definition of insanity, which is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So this particular speaker said, what do you do? And he said he was in the distribution business. And what do you have a line for what you do? I mean, if somebody, and I think sometimes we kind of regurgitate and say too much of what we do, and it makes people feel like you're a salesperson. So if you could tone it down to just literally like less than 60 seconds, even better, less than 30 seconds, even better, less than 15 seconds. Can you say what you do in 15 seconds? I help people make money, save money, and get out of debt. I help people make money, save money, and get out of debt. So what do you do, and could you say it in 15 seconds? That could be the one golden nugget that you get today that will take you to a bigger raise than you are making right now. One of the speakers said that one of their mentors was making X amount of money every year, and then another one was making X amount of money every year. And then this particular daughter said, Daddy, how come you're only making half or a third of that amount of money? And you're the one that taught them everything they know. So maybe there are teachers out there that taught their students well, and their students are making a lot of money, but the teacher is making a third or a 16th of what their student is making. And if you're that teacher and you want to take it up a level of notch, we should talk. I have some great ideas for you as well. One particular speaker in a particular industry said, why wouldn't you want to do this? And oh, your Uncle Joe said it's a scam. Nobody does what he does. So, you know, you don't know what you don't know, and if you're not willing to sit down and listen to someone who does know what they know, and maybe it applies to you, maybe perhaps we should take a listen to some people around us. Let's see. Every opportunity starts with a conversation. That could be the winning idea that you learned here today. Every opportunity starts with a conversation. There's actors and athletes, and they practice and they practice and they practice, right? Well, conversation skills are like what athletes and actors, they have to practice on the field and in front of a microphone. But conversation skills, there are books to help us with conversation skills. Have you ever heard of the acronym called FORM? I was just listening to another audio podcast, if you will, and they were talking about what form means, which is another topic for another day. But if you want to know how to have better conversations, ask me about form. You're going to love it. All right, communication isn't just talking. What is the other component to talking? Well, we have two things that we use. It's right here on the screen. You can see it. Talking is one, but the other one is. Talking is one, but the other one is. It's not, you have two of them. Two of them for listening, one of them for talking. So does that mean we should do twice as much of the listening as we do talking? What do you think? All right, what else? I think that we need to learn to ask questions, follow-up questions. Hey, I just put a social media post that some people think social media is a complete waste of time. But what's interesting is look at my post and you'll decide whether you think social media is a great waste of time, because it is a wonderful follow-up tool. And if you use it just for that purpose only, then you'll know that the people that are consistently following up and using social media for that might be as good as using a Trello board, for instance. I know a good friend and a mortgage professional that uses a Trello board. Maybe consider social media like your Trello board, and you consistently use this apparatus or tool that helps you follow up. Because I was looking at one of those pictures on my Facebook profile. You know how they show 3, 6, 9 photos on your Facebook profile? All of a sudden, somebody's picture showed up in there with a tie and suit, and his face looked familiar, but I didn't see him in Florida. I saw him 38 years ago. 38 years ago. I clicked on that picture. I sent him a message, and he happened to be there. Got lucky. Because how many times do you actually get a, nothing? Somebody ghosts you. They blow you off. They don't return your text. They don't even listen to your text. It says delivered, but you never hear from them. It's good. Let people know that you're listening to them as well. That's a good idea of the day to go for a raise. So involve people. If you could get into a business where you could involve people, if you could have a business part-time in addition to what you're doing now, and it's a people business. Let's see. Stories transform. If they can't explain it, they didn't understand it. How about that? That's in my notes here. If you can't explain something, then you don't understand it. They won't remember, but they do remember how you make them feel. I learned that from Toastmasters International, that 38% of all communication 38% is a good sized chunk of number, is tone of voice and how you make people feel in your speeches and your communication. And 55% is body language, which is just our gestures and what I'm doing here today, and eye contact, looking down, looking up, etc. The gestures that you think I'm making. And 7% is the content, which you should know what you're talking about. It really doesn't help you remember what I was talking about. So that tone of voice and that enthusiasm probably is the number one thing of the tone of voice. Vocal variety, they call it in Toastmasters. I'm sure they talk about enthusiasm as well. So here's four things that one of the top mentor mentioned or speaker at this event I went to a few weeks ago. Number one, be coachable. Number two, don't miss training. And number three, do some appointments. Leave your house. You can't make any progress without leaving your house. Everything changed when something happened, a traumatic event happened in your life. Maybe a loved one is no longer with us, and maybe that was the turning point. For me, my grandmother, my mom are gone today, but my mom was a significant inspiration in the business that I'm in, the financial business. So let's see. I want to stay on topic here, which is to go over some of my notes. One of them talked about a self-belief. That's a whole lot of BS, self-belief. What? Did I just say self-belief is BS? Yes, it's not what you think. BS stands for belief system. You've got to have a belief system, and that belief system is one where you don't doubt yourself. And if somebody doubts you, it doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means they don't know what they don't know. And they're just either afraid or they don't know themselves. And they're like, what are you doing? Are you really helping people, or are you just bothering me? How many people would get annoyed if someone actually tried to help them get a leg up? If you help someone get a leg up, the right person won't be annoyed. You can't say the right thing to the wrong person, and you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. So let's see. Tomorrow morning or today, if you have some time with a note paper, because I asked if you guys are note takers, start writing what you want. And maybe that'll be the winning idea for you. Start writing what you want. Here are some things about your belief system, or BS. Thoughts are things. That's from a chapter in Think and Grow Rich by Dr. Napoleon Hill. Desire, what you want, and faith. These are all titles in Think and Grow Rich by Dr. Napoleon Hill. And auto-suggestion, specialized knowledge. So those 5 chapters, I'm thinking the speaker was trying to encourage us to read the book, Think and Grow Rich. I read that book probably 100 times by now. So much that now I have 10 steps. 10 steps, or just say, go coax yourself, Paul. Put your thumb up and give me those 10 steps, Paul, on how I can do it, how I could achieve the dreams that I've always been waiting to achieve. 1 inch at a time. Inch by inch is a cinch, because it's too easy to get overwhelmed. You want this other guy for affirmations, which is another term for auto-suggestion in that book, affirmations. This guy made all of his passwords. So all of you cyber crooks out there are people out there using their password as a net worth goal. So their net worth goal, but I'm sure they use other characters in capital letters and switched them around, but their net worth goal was their password. Be careful with setting passwords, of course, but he kept that top of mind in front of them. And when you keep your goal constantly in front of you, and you have ants, not the kind where you call pest control, but ants. In my notes here was an automatic negative thought. Do you have an automatic negative thought, or an ant? And how do you get rid of the ants that are in your mind? I have the secret to that, or I could tell you too what I really believe, which is certain audios to listen to on a daily basis to rid those things out of your mind for good. But we're humans, so they can creep back in. So that's why you got to do constant maintenance for your ants, those automatic negative thoughts. One day, this person wanted to actually be with their mentor on a regular basis, like once a month or something. Go hang out, build a house next door to them, and hang out, because Is there somebody that you would love to have a house next door to that is a leader or a business leader that really inspires you and you'd like to hang out for the rest of your life together or your families and share some holidays and things like that? Here's a nugget I wrote down in my notes. Living in the easy three gets you free. Living in the easy three gets you free. Also said these three things. I'll shout out to him in case he ever hears this. Probably not because he's busy. But one of my notes was to get 2 and 3 and help 2 and 3 and get involved in 10. That's get 2 and 3, help 2 and 3, and involved in 10. I guess that's just a private message to myself, but ask me later. Yeah, if you're a part of my team, I'll explain it to you later. So, not looking at your failures, looking at people that refuse to quit. So, PIP this one, put into practice. Not looking at failures, but looking at people that refuse to quit. And those are the kind of people that I'd love to have on my team as well. So, are you ready to stop trading time for good income? A lot of people out there are making good income. A lot of people out there say these terms and quote unquote, I make good money. But are you trading how much time for that good money? Would you like to stop trading for good money and take it up a notch? You know, the average McDonald's franchise, after all that millions of dollars and all their restrictions and all their structure, and of course they have a system for sure, might be about $150,000 net after all the gross and expenses are taken care of. Can you imagine? I mean, how many people are net? How much you're really making? So if you're making 100,000, 200,000, 60,000, that's gross. Most of those figures are gross, and your net figure is not what you think, or you're probably not paying attention to your net figure. More of my notes. I just want to finish up my notes so I have them all in one spot in audio so I can listen to this later. That's why I'm really doing this for me, so I can hear my notes again. Today's purpose is believe in yourself. Actually, on the very beginning of this meeting, he wrote down a piece of paper and he put it on a screen and it said, believe in yourself. And if that's the only thing you got out of today's audio or today's meeting, that enough is the one idea to take you up a notch as well and give you a raise in the next 6 months. I don't care what the raise is, whether it's $1 or $1 million, anywhere in between. Okay, your last flight, did you know the pilot? Your last bus, did you know the driver? Your last cruise ship, did you know the captain? You trusted God will take you where you need to go. So how much faith do you have in what you're doing right now? Work for greatness, not recognition. This is the same for finishing a marathon. I finished maybe 5 or 6 full marathons, 26.2 miles myself with these feet that are on me right now, as well as maybe 10 half marathons or a piece of cake now with 13 and a half. Those of you that don't run, you're like, I can't even go past the mailbox. Or 5 miles is like, I can't believe you can do that. 5 miles is like the minimum standard. It's nothing. It's a little more than a 5K even, which is just 3.5 miles practically, maybe 40 minutes an hour. So one of our my top mentors, they gave me 7 tips that I could focus on for the rest of the year so I could take myself and give myself a raise over the next 6 months. And that's 1 is discipline, 2 is dedication, 3 is patience, 4 is self-belief, 5 is work when others won't, 6 be coachable, and 7 is mental toughness. I think mental toughness is probably the top one. I didn't know that one of my mentors was a roller hockey player from another country. I can't remember which one. I think it was Colombia. But same thing in a marathon or when I played soccer, is that mental toughness. Sometimes you're just tired and you don't think you have anything left. You really do have something left, and you just have to, so you don't be overwhelmed if you can just chunk it down into bite-sized pieces. Because remember, inch by inch is a cinch, and yard by yard is very hard. That could be the one thing also. I wrote that down in my notes years ago, a couple of decades ago, actually. So I don't care about your accent. I don't care about making money. These are not comments from myself. I'm just continuing my note-taking and sharing my notes with you from my meeting a couple of weeks ago because I wrote them down. How many people actually go to a meeting and didn't write them down? And if you don't write them down, I don't care what age you are. If you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years old, Do you remember what happened last week or yesterday for that matter? So start being a note taker. If everything seems under control, you're not going fast enough. Mario Andretti, that famous race car driver, if everything seems under control, you're not going fast enough. So if you're waiting for it to be just perfect, I just have one more note, and it's really just for me. You're probably not going to really soak into this one, but you will from everything I've said thus far in this audio message. But this is for me, Paul. 2 and 3 get, 2 and 3 help, and 10 involve. That's 2 to 3 get, 2 to 3 help, and 10 involve. And then I'm going to see a follow-up meeting with my mentor to check progress within 90 days from that meeting on October 10. So on October 10, if you want to go with me and meet my mentor, you're welcome to. You don't have to be part of my team or my organization or my business, but you can get a 30,000-foot view of what I do so you can be in a better position to be able to refer somebody for what I do. And I'd really appreciate that if you do want to go with me, and we'll have some lunch that day in between. It's like from 8 to 5. Anyway, so October 10 is going to be amazing. Thanks for listening. This is for me, actually, so that I could remember everything that happened 3 weeks ago because of these 3 questions that I asked you when I started this talk, which is, are you a note taker in meetings? I'm definitely a note taker. I have a whole pad, and I had about 20 pages that I put all that stuff in, and I just read off just the highlights, just like 5 or 6 words out of 20 words in every page. So you didn't even get just a scratch of it as well. And then, do you have a photographic memory? If you don't have a photographic memory, I would suggest note-taking is definitely something you should consider. And do you think that you can be one great idea from a big raise in the next 6 months? Everything I just talked about, I bet you can choose one nugget that I just talked about, which is just about 5 or 6 words from about 5,000 words that I just took in my notes from a few weeks ago. And one of those great ideas will take me to a big raise over the next 6 months. I don't care if it's $1 or $1 million, or in between. How would you like a raise from where you're working right now? Would you like a significant raise? Then we should talk. Put some comments. We should get together, have a cup of coffee. And anyway, that's it for now. Thanks so much for being here. I'm going to give Tony the last word and put up a picture on the screen. And have a fantastic Wednesday. I know that there is 2 meetings that you could win a 90-minute giveaway. And if you went to the 11 o'clock networkinferno.com, that's networkinferno.com, just let me know and tell me what one thing you liked or one thing you learned from the Network Inferno meeting at 11 o'clock today on Wednesday. It's a double header for networking. Go to that meeting, which already happened from 11 to 12, and then 12 to 1, which is going on right now. You could probably peek in now. And if you Google Sensor Toast, Google the word Sensor Toast. That's SENSOR space toast. Or that link at the bottom here, linktr.ee/Paul Finkelstein, and then you'll see the Wednesday meeting at 12. It's a Toastmaster meeting. If you've never been to a Toastmaster meeting, you still have 30 minutes left. You can go now. You can check it out. Go in there now. Tell them Paul Finkelstein sent you. I'd love for them to do that if you want to. If you don't, you could just be a guest. Guests don't have to speak. Enjoy the Toastmaster meeting. If you've never been to a Toastmaster meeting, go to linktree/Paul Finkelstein. Click on the Wednesday meeting. It's down a little bit below. Read very carefully. You do have to read. It is a requirement for going on to that website. Thanks so much for being here. I'm going to give Tony the last word. Ciao for now.
Listening to the OMG podcast with Paul Finkelstein. We can help you build wealth without hogging your time. Schedule a one-on-one with us. Thanks for listening. Join us again for another OMG podcast segment.
Oh, you're still here? Wow, I just gave you all of my notes from a few weeks ago from one of my mentors. And I talked to you about these 2 doubleheader events. One was 11 o'clock, called Network Inferno, not networking, but networkinferno.com, which is Wednesdays at 11 o'clock Eastern Time or 12 p.m. at Toastmasters. You can get to both events there at linktree/Paul Finkelstein. That's linktree/Paul Finkelstein. Thanks so much for being here. And if you do want the free ebook all about Medicare, you could download that too from linktree/Paul Finkelstein as well. Ciao for now, guys. Have a wonderful day.